What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on FantasyPros with a 12-team full PPR mock where we will be selecting fourth overall, so it should be pretty interesting. Our roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots. But that's pretty much it, so let's kick this thing off, and while we wait for it to load, a quick reminder, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, agree, disagree one way or the other, along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get into it. And we're on the clock here. The first couple of picks have been made. They are maybe somewhat surprising, but let's break them down. Looking at the draft board, the 101, Bijan Robinson, followed by Justin Jefferson and Christian McCaffrey. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Bijan Robinson, I have him as my 3rd overall running back. But this is a little bit atypical of what we've seen as of late. I'd rather go Christian McCaffrey or Austin Eckler, personally. But I say it's atypical because a lot of times we've had Justin Jefferson as the 101. I can appreciate here some love to the running back position. I personally would lean in that direction if it were me picking at the 101. I think I've made that very clear. But to me here, Bijan Robinson, as much as I like him, and he is getting a lot of hype, through preseason, in general, through the draft process, one of these next great rookie running backs. So, I can't fault you for selecting him early in the early parts of the first round. But to me, I would have still gone with probably an Austin Eckler. And in fact, that's what I'm going to do right now. In full PPR, Austin Eckler at this point in time, 4th overall, I think is a pretty good value. In fact, I was going to say, I think the 4th overall position, not a bad position to be in because you're essentially going to be looking at, if you want to go with a wide receiver, you're probably going to have somebody like a Cooper Kupp available. If you want to go running back, with the recent trends of, a wide receiver early, you're probably going to have either McCaffrey or Eckler available. And you'll definitely have Bijan Robinson or Saquon Barkley there for you if you want it. So, as far as just navigating what to do, it's not extremely difficult, in my opinion. So I'm going Austin Eckler here. I like the value. I'm happy with it. And let's figure out what we do in the second round because that's really where this draft is going to start for us here. So looking at the big board, after we went with Austin Eckler, a little bit of a run on pass catchers, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, then Travis Kelce, Saquon Barkley, and then finishing it off, 3 straight wide receivers to end the first and 3 straight wide receivers to kick off the second. So Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson. Devontae Adams is somebody that I would be taking ahead of A.J. Brown, probably ahead of CeeDee Lamb as well. I think that we see an extreme here of the wide receivers being drafted early and often, but that's allowing for value like Jonathan Taylor to still be here, somebody like a Derrick Henry to still be here for us. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm going to practice smart drafting, best overall player, and I'm going to take the value when it's there. We barely missed out on Tony Pollard here just by 2 picks. Chris Olave, while I love Chris Olave, I think the 208 is one of the higher spots that I've seen him go in. But again, there was a huge wide receiver run here. It's a little bit of a bigger league, so keep that in mind. But here, I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. I really will. I think pairing him up with Austin Eckler, it's something that I don't mind. I'm not going Devonta Smith. If you could guarantee me Jonathan Taylor is going to play the entire season, I'll go with him here. But since that hasn't fully been resolved, even though I've continued to say this, I'm of the mindset that he will play the entire year. But right now, just because it's a mock draft and we have more certainty with somebody like a Derrick Henry, I will go with Derrick Henry here ahead of Jonathan Taylor. So we get that out of the way. And our roster right now, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, not a bad situation to be in. I'm looking at wide receiver. I think, you could argue we finally have to address the position. At this point in time, I don't necessarily love the running backs looking at the cheat sheet that are available to us. So Najee, ETN, and especially when I've already got two, I mean, let's be honest, two studs. So here, I'm definitely no chance in hell going quarterback. So really the only position here for debate is wide receiver. I'm going to go with somebody that I really like. I'm going to go with Calvin Ridley. A little bit, probably rich for ADP wise, but you got to go and get who you think is the highest ranked available player on your board. And that was Calvin Ridley for me. So speaking of the board, let's take a look at it after Ridley. You see ETN, Patrick Mahomes, T. Higgins, so low to run on the quarterback position, right? Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Aaron Jones, Mark Andrews, Najee, DK, then Lamar Jackson, Miles Sanders, Breece Hall, Godwin, Joe Burrow, Amari Cooper, and Alexander Madison. So, yeah, man, that ADP for Alexander Madison is going up and up and up. It depends on what platform you're drafting on, to be fair. But, yeah, it's a situation where people are getting in on him. So right now we're back on the board, and in terms of high upside guys, I'm looking at DJ Moore here in this group. I do have Marquise Brown ranked ahead of him, but in my opinion, he's going to be there later on as well. We could go with the TJ Hawkinson, but I'm all right waiting a little bit on the tight end position for guys like Waller or Kittle. So I'm just going to continue to add pass catchers. I'm going to add DJ Moore here, and I guess technically we have to do it manually, right? So let's add him. And this has been an interesting draft. I feel like it's kind of, some of the guys that we normally take have been bumped up by a round, if you will. But hey, that happens sometimes, depending on how the draft goes. I think, this is an example of some savvy picks and, with updated rankings, things like that. So I don't mind the way this thing has gone. I like being put in quote unquote uncomfortable situations, if you will. And I think we're doing an all right job here of navigating all of it. So right now we are in the 5th round. I'm looking at potential quarterbacks: Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. Getting that stack of Justin Fields and DJ Moore, kind of tempting. Tight end: George Kittle, Darren Waller, Kyle Pitts. Let's look at the draft board, see who has a tight end at this point in time. So I could see a tight end run here. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Pass catcher, I'm hoping Marquise Brown falls to us, right? I think that would be pretty lucky. I also think that James Conner here is a good value. But again, let's see where some of these guys go. I'm hoping that in terms of, there's a little bit of a run on some of these other quarterbacks, things like that. I'm going to go George Kittle here. I'm going to get, our top 5 tight end, if you will, and have that position taken care of. So there was a little bit of a run on the tight end position. We ended up being correct. So let's break it down here. Looking at the draft board, after we went George Kittle, Deontay Johnson, Jerry Jeudy, Rashad White, Michael Pittman, Christian Watson, Kenneth Walker, Dameon Pierce. There goes Justin Fields, J.K. Dobbins, Mike Williams, Justin Herbert. So we miss out on Justin Herbert and Justin Fields, Darren Waller, Tyler Lockett, Kyle Pitts also goes, James Conner, and Trevor Lawrence. So not going to lie, a little bit bummed out that we couldn't get James Conner, but one of the guys that we really liked is still there in Marquise Brown. So we are going to add him to the squad. Quarterback right now, I'm perfectly fine. After, to me, I've gotten to the point where we have gotten out of the range of quarterbacks to me that are like, must draft, things like that. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to wait for Kirk Cousins, something like that. And I'm just going to load up on value. I'm going to load up on value picks. And I think right now, Alvin Kamara at this point in time, sure, he's going to serve a suspension, but I'm going to go for the upside. I'm going to go for the upside, add depth at that position, and then, just go from there. Because right now, we have Alvin Kamara, but he doesn't have to be a starter for us, right? And I like being in that spot. Right now, looking at upside players, I don't mind Michael Thomas. I don't mind Elijah Moore. Some of these names, somebody like a Jamal Williams to back up Alvin Kamara. Also a possibility. Samaje Perine later on. Is he even available? He might not even be on the board still. And I think that is the case. If we, yeah, Samaje Perine got selected 3 picks before us. So yeah, man, this is, I think, a really good example of some of these guys going earlier than expected, and you have to circumnavigate that situation. So let's continue to just add pieces and get value. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. And I am going to add some wide receivers that I like. And we're going to have to do it again manually. I'm looking at Elijah Moore. I'm looking at Michael Thomas. So it's going to call it a reach, but I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that, again, we're at the point of the draft where you're just getting the guys that you want. I'm going to go Michael Thomas here. And then we are going to finally address the quarterback position. And we will do so with, let's see who's available. Tua is still there. We could potentially go with, I think we could go, let's do it this way. Let's go Daniel Jones and then go with an Aaron Rodgers. Daniel Jones, a high upside quarterback. Anthony Richardson would also fall in that category. So actually we get sniped on Aaron Rodgers. That's okay. Where did he go? Just kind of bringing it up here. He goes a couple picks after us. That's okay. So here we could go with, I think Kirk Cousins is a safe choice. Tua, a little bit riskier, I would say, with the injury history. So we just add Kirk Cousins, and then we're going to add one final selection here. Best player overall, best player available. And then we're going to get to see our draft grade, right? So excited about that. Looking at wide receivers. Allen Lazard is somebody that I like. Looking at tight ends, some depth behind George Kittle. I think that is also a smart idea. Gerald Everett is somebody that I like. Let's see if there's other players here at the tight end position. So Dulcich, I don't like the fact that Dulcich has kind of not been getting some love, supposedly from the Denver offense, been running with the second team. Gerald Everett, I really like. I also really don't mind Sam Laporta. I know he's a rookie, but I think he's going to see a lot of opportunities. So it's between Laporta, Dulcich, and Gerald Everett. I'm going to go with Laporta here to kind of, mix things up a little bit. But yeah, that's it. Let's see this draft grade. We get a C draft grade, kind of smack dab in the middle. We started out this draft with Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry. I think it was a little bit, atypical with some of the guys that were drafted where they were. There were runs a little bit sooner than we expected, but I'm okay with that. I think all things considered, we bounced back all right. I mean, the 3 wide receivers that we got, Ridley, Moore, Marquise Brown, I think they're very high upside guys. So even if you could say, well, none of them are top 10 guys, I think they all have very nice high upside and we'll be okay. We got a top 5 tight end in George Kittle. And then we got some upside in Alvin Kamara, post-suspension on the bench. The quarterback situation, we could have circumnavigated a little bit better, but I'm not mad with what we have. It's not sexy, but this quarterback situation can get you into the playoffs with Daniel Jones, with Kirk Cousins. And then we just got depth at wide receiver, Elijah Moore, Michael Thomas, Laporta to back up George Kittle. I think maybe C+ here is a little bit more appropriate. B- if we get lucky with some of these selections. But either way, let me know your thoughts. Hopefully this was useful. If so, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.